How you doing? This is Ivan from Bitesize Wisdom for Busy People, where I like to share ideas and insights to help you grow. And today I want to talk about how we can learn to eat mindfully so we can have a happy, healthy life. Because having a healthy body is paramount to having a good experience in this reality. But the problem is that many of us aren't really mindful of how we eat. And we need to properly digest our food. And also, many of us aren't aware that our human organism, besides the physical food that we need, it requires two other foods that are very important that we are not really consciously aware of. So obviously the first food is our physical food that we have. And then the second food that our body needs is breathing. Through our breathing, we get our second food. And then the third food is just impressions. And what are impressions? Impressions are everything that we absorb through our five senses. So obviously the first food is very important to maintain our body, keep our body going. And then our second food is also very important for our body. And also there's a important link also with our emotional health. The way that we breathe has a tremendous effect on our emotional well-being. And then with the third kind of food, which is the impressions we get through our five senses, is the food for our psyche. So we all need to learn how to consciously digest all these different foods, because just like our body, how we digest our physical foods, we digest them to break them down so that we could use the energy. We break them down into a finer energy that our body can use to maintain our body. And then also with our breathing, many of us in our society now, we don't breathe correctly. We breathe from the top of our chest, and we're like, I guess, high breathers, and breathing using only the upper part of your lungs. There's a direct correlation with anxiety and just emotional not being well. And we need to learn to become more conscious of our breathing and become, say, belly breathers. Breathe from the bottom of our belly to bring in more oxygen, and that will have a direct effect on our well-being, on our mind, on our thinking process. And then also with the impressions we get through our five senses is the food that we get for our psyche. The problem is that many of us are unconscious of everything that we're taking in, and therefore don't digest properly and don't extract the energy from all these impressions. Because someone who knows how to consciously, let's say, take in visual impressions will be able to extract the energy from that impression, and by being conscious of taking in that impression will be able to digest it properly, and therefore won't leave a trace in your inner space. And then you'll also be able to extract that energy and use it to be more aware, to be more mindful. So as an example, someone that knows how to do this properly can go to, say, like an art gallery, and by taking in the visual impressions consciously, which just means someone who has learned to create a tremendous amount of inner space where they don't let their thinking process come between the act of seeing. So which means that you are not seeing the world through memory. You'll be able to take in that impression pure. And by doing that, you'll be able to, say, like at this art gallery, you'll be able to, whatever painting or creation that you are observing, you will be able to extract the energy that went into making that painting. As you can see, that's one of the problems with all the entertainment that we have nowadays, is that we are just not conscious of everything that we're putting in our inner space. And that has a tremendous effect on us, because, as I say, by not being conscious of all these impressions, we don't digest them properly, And by not digesting properly, this data goes into our inner space and will start to influence us in very complex ways that we're not even aware of. So that's why you got to be very mindful of the entertainment, the things that you expose yourself to. But today I want to talk about just the physical act of eating, and then being able to incorporate all these things that I talked about, our breathing and consciously taking in impressions, and which can help us just have a very mindful experience when we're eating, and can help us digest all these 3 foods that are necessary for our well-being. So next time that you eat, I want you, step 1 is just noticing how you eat. I want you to become aware of what is your usual habit of when you eat. Are you a fast eater? You know, when I was younger, that was one of the things my mom always harped on me for. She would get very upset with me is because I just scarfed down my food. I just didn't enjoy my food. I was just trying to get out of there, like I guess a lot of kids are, you know, just to go back into the streets to play. So just become aware of, you know, how you eat. Just what kind of gestures do you do? You know, do you like to talk while you eat? Do you have your mouth open while you eat? Are you loud? Do you chew your food with your mouth open? So just notice those things first. Notice your posture, notice your gestures, notice those things first. Notice how you feel when you eat. Do you get like, are you very happy and emotional thing, or is it just you understand that you're just eating just for nourishing the body? So notice all these things. And then the next step is when you are getting ready to eat, you know, make it a ritual. You can make it a ritual where as you're preparing your food, you become mindful of your body, of the sensation of your body as you're preparing your food. Try to just be completely present in your body and be mindful of your movements. So when you sit down, you know, as you get ready to go in your chair, be mindful of your feet on the ground, your back resting on the chair, your butt on the chair. Notice all those things. And as you're eating, with your movements, become very mindful and aware of your movements, because there's a big difference. Like if I just, you know, got the fork and spoon and just going like that, going crazy on my steak, it's very different than if, you know, just consciously, like, you're aware of your movements. There's a whole different quality to it when you do it mindfully, when you're very aware of the sensation of the movements of your body as you're doing them. So learn to, as you're cutting your food, you know, bring complete awareness to that. And then when you're in your chair, and you're also, like I said, bring awareness to your breathing, and try to breathe in a more rhythmic, deep way. And then with your food, as I was saying, with the visual impressions, when you are looking at your food, try to see your food like it's the very first time, even though this might be the 1,000th time you've had chicken. You know, just try to see it freshly with new eyes. I made a video about that. You can check it out. I think it was the previous video. And just notice, you know, the texture, the color. Just notice everything about it, but in a way that it's like for like the first time. And, you know, it would be kind of shocking maybe, or interesting, that you'll see like a certain aliveness to your food. Maybe it'll appear HD to you. So this is taking in the impression consciously. And then you know, as you're eating the food, and then next, you know, go through all your senses. You know, as you smell the food, what response does that evoke inside you? And then as you start to chew your food, you know, really just allow it to just absorb all the taste, you know. And as the food goes down your throat, you know, just follow it, and just as it goes down into your stomach. So just learning to bring complete awareness to the act of eating. And then while also, like I said, being mindful of your breathing, and then just bringing in all these impressions consciously, like the first time. Don't just try to be in a quiet space of where your thinking process is not coming between you and the physical act. You don't really need to think about eating. It's mainly a physical act. So the more you do that, the more you'll see that the more enjoyment you'll also get from eating. It'll just become a lovely experience. And just learn to make this your daily ritual when you're preparing your food, or even at a restaurant, just like all the things that I mentioned. And I think you'll see that it's transformed your, for many of us, sometimes eating is a mundane experience, but you'll see that it's been transformed into a actual exercise for personal growth. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like these videos, please help me out by subscribing and sharing my content with anyone who you think will find it valuable. And yeah, I hope you guys are doing good. I hope that you get some value from this, and let me know if you actually practice this. Let me know how your experience goes, or if you have any other tips that I missed. So take care. Peace, guys.